You have a free Ardelia. You have a free Ardelia signature weapon. And not only do you have her for free, she's one of the strongest characters in the game. So just how do you justify pulling for Gilberta? We'll see if it's justified soon, but to be clear, as a standard banner character, Ardelia is pulling no punches in this head-to-head. Ardelia is a character that plays nice with everybody in the cast, and there's a few reasons for that. Ardelia's kit rarely interacts with others in the team, and while that could be a negative in the future as generalists do tend to fall off, in the current state of the game, it's not. Part of what makes her such a good generalist is just how universal her combo skill is. It procs when you perform a final strike on an enemy that isn't suffering from either some sort of arts infliction or some sort of vulnerability. Basically, it's a near universal condition, and it allows her to pair in every team comp in the game currently. Want to play physical? Run Ardelia. Want to play cryo? Run Ardelia. Want to play Levitain? You guessed it, go into crippling financial debt so you can buy limited pulls. She's worth it. Though you could avoid that crippling financial debt with up to 27% discounts from today's sponsor, LD Shop. That's right, the LD company you know from both LD Player and top-up services in Genshin and Wuthering Waves is here to save you money yet again inside of Endfield. The normal $5 monthly pass is selling for only $3.76 on LD Shop, and the $70 Origiometry bundle is selling for $52.70. That's a nearly 25% discount. In my case, I need the battle pass, so I'm going to press protocol customized, press top up over here, and then it'll ask me to input my payment method. Just like that, transaction is completed. Now, scroll down and fill out all the information over here. It says the order is complete, so I can go ahead and log into the game. And if I go over here to my battle pass, I can see that I now have it. Cool. You don't have to take my word for their safety either. They have a 4.8 rating and Trustpilot, which I'd say is pretty damn good. And I forgot the best part. New users will get 15% off plus an additional 5% when you use my link down in the description or comments below. If you're going to be spending money on any gacha, you should be saving money with LD Shop as you do it. A huge shout out to them for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the Ardelia glazing. Having a universal combo skill doesn't inherently make you a good pairing with other characters though. That's where unethically broken battle skill comes in. Not only does it grant 20% susceptibility at max rank, it does it for both physical and arts damage. I think you're starting to see what makes her such a strong generalist. On that note, I kind of do have a problem with generalists being as strong as Ardelia is, as I think they kill team building flexibility and ingenuity, but I think that's a topic for another video. The important takeaway is this: Ardelia can not only go everywhere, she's strong everywhere, she pairs with every teammate, functions in every comp in the game, and on top of all that, I forgot to mention, she's literally a healer too. That means if your skill is shooting, she can help you out. Let's contrast this with Gilberta's kit. Not only is Gilberta's kit less universal, it also has some weird contradictions given the current state of the game. Her combo skill procs when an enemy suffers from an arts reaction. That means you either need a different element inflictor, or you need a character like Wolfguard or Perlica who can just throw reactions on there. And to be clear, that is perfectly normal and fine on its own. The problem comes when her combo skill applies lift. That makes it seem like she wants to pair with a physical character, as you're proccing an arts reaction and you're applying a physical debuff, so maybe like solidification, but she doesn't want to do that either. That's because unlike Ardelia, Gilberta's ultimate only applies arts susceptibility, not physical susceptibility. Solidification synergies like Alesh or Enmin start to get thrown out of the window once you keep that in mind. This kind of implies that she'll have more future value, as no character really makes use of this currently, but we don't pull characters for what their value may be in the future. We're talking right now. That said, I think I painted a more bleak picture about Gilberta than she deserves. So let's talk about why she's actually legitimately strong as a character. In fact, outside of just straight up looking better, there are other real reasons to run her over Ardelia as well. Ardelia struggles in AoE based content. She has a very hard time applying susceptibility to multiple enemies. That's because the AoE on her battle skill is extremely small, so you need every enemy to be grouped up. And that's assuming that you procced corrosion on every enemy nearby. Technically, her combo skill can do that, but once again, extremely small AoE, they need to stay together for a long time, it's not a pretty picture. This is where Gilberta shines. Her battle skill is Venti ult at home, and in a game with virtually no groupers, that's actually really strong. Aviwena personally has really hard time in AoE due to the lack of width on her spears, so having a character like Gilberta in her team comp really helps there. Without there being real endgame content available in the game yet, it's hard to say whether or not this will be useful in those types of content. That said, in the open world, this has actually been quite amazing. Speaking of dealing with mobs, her ultimate actually keeps any enemy lifted inside of it lifted for that entire duration. Now obviously this doesn't include bosses, but for monsters you find along the map, this is pretty nice for bypassing their mechanics. Her ultimate also applies art susceptibility to any character in the field, so once again tying into that AoE theme. The strongest part of her kit is something we've touched on a little bit but haven't really talked too much about, and that's the susceptibility from her ultimate. At a base, it's 30%, which is 10% higher than Ardelia, but it can actually stack from there. For every stack of vulnerability on the enemy, it increases by 3%, so it can go up to 42% art susceptibility total. During the first cast, you're pretty likely only going to have one stack of vulnerability, assuming you're only running Gilberta, but in longer fights against bosses, for example, you can easily stack up this vulnerability multiple times, going all the way up to the cap of 42%. For teams built around strong burst windows like the Electric team, the short duration of her ultimate only lasting 5 seconds isn't as much of a downside. And that means the trade-off of getting that huge art susceptibility is quite nice. While the susceptibility is higher than Ardelia's, I need to point out 2 things. One, unlike Ardelia, remember, this is only for the arts, so physical teams get no benefit here. The second important thing is that this susceptibility only applies when the enemy is inside of the field. As we just mentioned, the field only lasts 5 seconds, so you want to save your burst window to time with this ultimate and dump everything inside of it. The best examples would be like when the boss is staggered and you have all your cooldowns available. This also means that you'll need to be careful when using Gilberta's ultimate. Many enemies like Triagalos are extremely mobile, and if you don't understand their attack patterns, you can easily just end up wasting a Gilberta ultimate and then end up wasting that susceptibility window. If you're interested in a more in-depth explanation about how to actually play Gilberta, you can subscribe for my Gilberta guide in the near future. I've talked a ton about the weaknesses inside of Gilberta's kit, so it's also worth mentioning that Ardelia has meaningful flaws as well. Ardelia is a universal character because she doesn't apply infliction. While it technically means she can slot into a lot of places, it also means that she can't interact with the arts reactions of many team comps, making her less usable in teams who actually want that. Gilberta, on the other hand, can. Let's take the Electric team for example. We have Aviwenna, Arknight, Perlica, and Gilberta. In this team, if I had an Ardelia, I'd have to change my rotation specifically to line up the final strike after using Arknight's ultimate. This is because otherwise, the enemy will have electric infliction on them, causing her to be unable to proc her combo skill. If I had Gilberta to this team instead, not only do I completely ignore this issue, I fix 2 of their weaknesses as well. I shore up arguably the worst aspect of the team, which is their desperate lack of AoE coming out of Aviwenna, which is what we mentioned when we were talking about her battle skill before. I also just added a way to apply strong corrosion or more electrification for the team as well. This has major benefits with Arknight, whose battle skill will consume electrification to restore SP, and that consuming of SP will proc her combo skill, which, you guessed it, restores even more SP. Both of these instances will also generate more energy for the team, causing the team to get their ultimates faster and just flow that much better. Basically, this team is stonks, and I made an entire video to simp for it because it's that damn fun. Be honest though, she looks you in the eyes like that, and you'd do the same. With all that being said, and with the Electric team being my favorite, I think this next part is going to shock you. Based on the current state of the game, I don't think Gilberta is worth pulling for. Ardelia is just too universally strong, and with everyone owning her, you're not gaining that much value from Gilberta. Her teams aren't going to perform that much better than Ardelia, at least based on the content we've seen so far, and Ardelia is an easy pairing with Levitain as a cheaper team if you want to go the premium route. If not, physical teams centered around Pog or cryo teams centered around Last Rite are more than enough to get the job done currently. If I'm being honest, if I weren't a content creator, I wouldn't have pulled on any of the 3 first banners. The start of a game is when the standard banner characters are at their most usable, and with everyone being a shiny new toy right now, you might as well play around with them. At the very least, it makes it so you can save your pulls for the future when they're going to matter more. That said, I know you Gilberta sims are going to pull for her anyway, and she is surprisingly fun. That's why you should subscribe for my Gilberta guide coming out in the near future and check out my 100-hour journey in Arknights Endfield right here. Take care.